Shadowblade here with a new episode of Factorio with Angel's Mods. Now, you can see I'm here on my load screen here. I wanted to go into our blueprint map. I don't remember exactly where we left off, but I know we had been talking about getting some our refinement processes done and aligned and some of that stuff. And so I wanted to kind of focus on that. And I just wanted to show you kind of what I've been doing. I basically made what I needed for the thing, little blueprints that I could stack along each other to make more of them. And obviously each of these need other things. The other thing I looked at was the recipes for some of these things, like chrome and whatnot. They get really complicated, but like one less where you just use the processed stuff, it's not too bad. Same thing with like the cobalt oxide. So I think what I'm going to do is on some of the really crazy ones, I'm just going to do the second version of that. And a prime example is lead, right? So like lead, it's just this oxide and ingots, which is just oxygen and carbon rather. Whereas the anodes, you get into this stuff, which isn't too bad, but then you get into this hydrofluoric acid that you need, silicon ore from somewhere else, that sort of thing to make this hexafluorosilicic acid to do this. And I don't know. I didn't think it was that important to make. So, and we don't use a ton of lead, I don't think. So I think I'm going to try that out. If we need to upgrade it later, we can always do that. There's not a whole lot of difference in how it gets created, just one extra thing. But that will ultimately allow us to do things a little bit simpler. So if we want to go back into our actual map. Now, in the interim, I did do a little bit of work. I can't remember what we had talked about, but if we go into our map mode here, I did a lot of cleanup here. I cleaned up some of our rail areas because it was getting a little crazy and funky. One thing I noticed was that when we set these up, the iron was like on the left side and the lead was on the right, and I actually wanted iron to be closer to the bottom so that we could drag it down here to where the iron is and kind of set it up a little bit more of how we set up our smelting a little bit. So I reversed the track here on this side, but that's it. I also automated our green circuitry here. And if you'll notice, it looks almost identical to the white circuits. Basically, you've got the fluid that comes in here to make the boards, to make the this. The only thing that is different is I set up this little deal here for the glass because I didn't want to have glass made yet and I wanted to be able to start making stuff. So I'm just kind of carting over some silicon ore at the moment to make the glass for the fiberglass boards. And the gold, obviously we don't have gold set up just yet. So I made some gold and I'm just handcrafting those. But the rest of it's kind of the same. You've got these circuits here, or these electronic components here, which are kind of like the same here. And I made extra of those and piped those up. And this is just the same silicon and tinned wire setup kind of that we had over here. So not too much different. I didn't feel like spending a whole episode building this was going to be too much different than when we built the white. So we've got some green circuits. I've extended out our bus a little bit better. I put down a robo port here, and I'm considering. I wonder if I can do that from here. I've been kind of dismantling some of this stuff. Will that work? Yeah, nice. And then they're just taking that over here to these storage chests for now, because I want to get rid of this mall thing and so that we don't have any obstructions when we're bringing down our stuff here. So just to kind of play around with it and make sure that everything was doing what I wanted it to do, I set up the first kind of sections of our refining here. Just using the patterns that I did in my blueprint map. You can see here we've got the lead, the tin. The tin is so simple. It's literally just carbon. We've got our copper here and our iron. And iron's actually not too bad either. You just have to do this. So what I did is, for expansion wise, I set them up this way so we can expand over this way. At the same time, on the edge here, I'm building up what they need to function. Right here, this sulfur dioxide gas, we're actually getting from the lead because it creates it. And it probably won't be enough to run our copper fully, but it's a start. Tin doesn't really need anything. And then down here, I created a little bit of a coal thing, because some things needed coke, some things needed carbon. If they didn't need, like the copper didn't need either, so I just put the pellets because that's the most efficient. Right here, I just brought coke pellets over. And it all seems to work out pretty good. Oh, I just realized something I probably forgot to do. Well, no. They're good. They're good. I couldn't remember if I switched around where we loaded the trains up with stuff. Looks like I did, though. Yeah. Right here is where I did gold, so I could get some gold. This will basically be... This is just a very simple setup for gold. I'm going to make it a lot more complicated because I think this is the first way to make gold. Yeah. And we're going to use like the higher way, the third way or second way. And I may need to... Wait, is gold and silver in the same grouping? I hope so. It's nickel. No, it's not. Is silver over here? Yeah, silver's over here. Okay. At some point I may switch that around because gold and silver actually work. They basically do exactly the same things. So you can set them up right next to each other. In fact, what I may do is set them up together over this way, maybe, and have them run kind of backwards. But let's take a look at setting up maybe the next level. Oh, the other thing we need to do in this one, I think this episode, we will set about dismantling some of this other junk. You can see I went under here and I realized how far down all of these ingots need to come down to get to our stuff. And so I'm like, oh man, I got so much junk in the way. It might be time to start dismantling things. So, let's do that now. What's this? Silvers? Let's go and let's see. You're doing your thing. This takes them a while. I don't actually have robots, so we'll have to use nanobots for the majority of this. Does this remove our power from up here? No, okay. Oh, there's lots of stuff in there. How are we doing on space in our inventory? Not too bad. Okay. Let's go ahead. Man, I have so many coke pellets here. I think I picked them up while I was... Have Coke. Pellets. A bunch of sodium hydroxide in there, but let's just snag, let's see, let's pick up this. I have this down here somewhere, yeah. The copper, iron. I'll go ahead and put the iron in here. Copper we can do too. Lead, nickel, silver, gold. Lead and nickel, yeah. Aluminum ore. Gold and silver. And I think aluminum's over here. Mm-hmm. This sodium hydroxide, I don't know what we're going to do with. I think eventually we need it for something, but too much sodium hydroxide. Okay. For now, you know what? For now, I usually hate doing this, but I really have no idea what to do with that stuff, so. There we go. Sodium hydroxide is gone. Oh, there's still some up here. Okay. 72 silver plates. I don't remember what we used to do with silver. Some bronze. We got some other weird stuff in here. Here, we'll put that in there. This and this. All of that nonsense. Put that in there. Sure. That works pretty good. That's fairly clean. Okay. So we've got this all cleaned up. Okay, so if we're going to clean all this up, because basically everything except for the silicon we have made further up. There's so much copper in these things. It's ridiculous. You really don't use as much copper as I thought you might. So, well, I guess there's nothing for it. Just start. The steel could be a problem. We haven't done steel yet. And I haven't decided how I'm going to do some of that. I think, because some of these ore things require, when you look at steel, it requires iron ingots. And so, the same thing with like manganese. I don't think have we started with manganese? Oh no, manganese is okay. Silicon, silver. Maybe it's just the steel that requires iron ingots. I know some of these other things required like weird, crazy things. Like silicon ore for the chrome, I think, or something like that, but we don't need to do that. Because we can just do carbon with the process. And I don't know exactly how much chrome we're going to use, but I can't imagine it's going to be too much. So efficiency isn't super important on a lot of this stuff. Because there is stuff up here, right, that we don't even have the final version of yet learned, because we don't have the high-tech science packs. But I just wanted to get the kind of the basics going so that we could have some of everything. So let's, I guess let's just do this. We got the little beep beeps. I guess I can tear this whole thing down too, because although I think this is what was providing power to everything. Including our silicon up here, but yeah, it was. But since we're doing the, what is this? Oh. Yeah, our silicon's kind of shut down. So we might need to go up there and do a silicon as well. But with this stuff, I think I'm just going to tell it all to move back in here. See, now we got this tons of this coke. Here, let's clean all that up first. Oops. Okay. That's all ores and ores and ores. Let's try and put a bunch of this back in its slot. This line of stuff that goes down to the chemical area, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. What was this about? Was it for tin? It must have been. Deconstruction. I'm almost tempted to leave part of this here. The steel, I mean. In fact, I think I'm going to. Oops. Let's leave you doing that. Not all this part, but this section of it where we can just put iron ingots in there. And that'll give me some time without us losing. I should probably leave those there. Uh-oh. It begins. Okay. We got a silo here. Let's put a bunch of this ore and stuff, excess ingots, things like that, all this, all that. Yeah, we'll throw all that stuff in there for now. I just realized I've been picking all that stuff up by hand for no reason whatsoever. I just didn't want to get any of these lines that have the ores on them. Like this and like this. Oh. Let's not do that. started shoving ingots in there. Not that that would be too terrible. Oh, man. All right. You know what? It's fine. Except I should probably put them in the right bin. Nickel ore and lead can go in there. There, where's our... Okay. Huh. Was that tin? Or was that tin? What is this? Hold on. Those are nickel ingots. Didn't even know I was making nickel. Apparently I was. All right. We'll let that continue on its way, doing its thing. These are tin ingots, tin ore, some lead ore. All right. So we've cleaned that up a little bit. I can already tell we are going to need more iron. Lots more iron. So why don't we do this? And let's do one more. We need some pellet presses. And then we go like that, and where's our red undergrounds? Turn that around this way, and there we go. We need some more stack inserters, which I don't think we have enough basic electronic boards for. And we need some of these guys, also basic electronic boards. This is fine, I can just put this in a different spot. Now these make 24 ingots every 4 seconds. That's 6 ingots per second. So they can fit, basically it's 2 of these to a belt. So why don't we go a little bit crazy. We'll set 1 more of these up. All right, we're gonna need more pellet presses, which takes more stone brick, which we have a gob of down here. Yeah, because this will give us the 2 lines here, and then we should really have 1 more line going into the steel. So may do that. Let's grab some more steel here. We're almost out of iron because I shut it off. And what do we need? Oh, more circuits. That should be sufficient for some of these. Oh, wait, we're making these automatically. Where are you, stack inserters? You're here. You don't have any. Why? Uh-oh. Because you don't have any of these. Okay, they're saturated there. Okay, we shut off our power somewhere. That's not good. It's right along here. There we go. And this will start making some stack inserters for us. Cool. In the meantime time, let's go snag some more white circuits. Let's take the whites and the basics. Lots of the basics. right, that should do us for now. Oh, and we needed some of these. We also need some power poles. Now the way I set this up was so that I could go something like this. And so if that's 6 per second, 6 per second, that should be, 2 of these should be a full line. Just make sure I did these right. This requires 8 every 4 seconds, so 2 per second. This makes 2 per second. I may have designed this wrong. This part is correct, but I think you can actually do 2 of these because it's a 1-to-1 with the pellets to the iron ingots. Okay. Well, I can see we're over time, so I will think about redesigning this a little bit. That means any of these that I made pellets with, I probably made that mistake. Yeah. So this one doesn't matter, but this one, these two also. So I'll probably redesign these a little bit just to get them a little bit more efficient. This is 12 every, or requires 12 every 6 seconds, so that's 2 per second. This makes 24 every 4, so that's 6 per second. So one of these can actually do like 3 of these guys. Right? $24 every 4. Yeah. So I'll have to redesign these, but you can see where we're kind of going. We've got these, I guess, right before we end our episode, and I'm going to go ahead and at least try to hook up our iron a little bit. Where's my undergrounds? Yeah. There we go. So that way we'll have at least some iron going. And then I will fix these dealies up in the interim. And when we come back, we'll start, should be able to start getting some serious production. So Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, tap the like button. It helps me out and helps the channel. And if you really enjoyed it, feel free to subscribe for more content. But until next time, I've been Shadowblade. You guys stay sharp.